Hello everybody, this is KenZy here, and today, just because the response to my last TLO video was so amazing, and because nobody else seems to have stumbled upon the replay pack to my knowledge, I'm going to be bringing you another TLO game today. Okay, so today's match, as you'll have guessed, does have Liquid TLO in it, and he is actually going to be our Red Terran player in this match, and he is putting in the top left hand side of the map. Terran is his favourite race at the moment, although he was formerly the world's #1 Masters player, random race player. So he can play all three races very well, but Terran is his favourite at the moment. Who knows if he'll change in the future? Well, you never know with TLO, and that's half the fun. So anyway, TLO is of course our Terran player, who I'm sure if you'll have seen the last match that I did cast, which if you haven't seen you should go and watch that now, which was a TLO playing against a player called Beautiful. So go and watch that now, that'll be on my channel, because I'm going to spoil the results of that match now. And really, it's the kind of match you'd like to see. It did get an amazing response too, which is what I'm about to also mention too. So anyway, assuming that those people have actually gone up to that video now, I will, I will of course just ignore those people now and just not be afraid of spoiling anything. But just first, introducing TLO's opponent for today is Makal, our blue Zerg player. We'll need more of an introduction to than TLO, just because he's not a very famous player whatsoever. Now, is this account a Smurf account? I don't know, but I doubt it. It just looks to be a very high Masters account, and pretty ordinary high Masters account too, as in, sorry, it looks like legitimate, I mean, it doesn't look like he's got a crazy high win-loss ratio. He does have a 65% win rate, and that is very, very good, but it's not like, say, a Grandmaster who's smurfing in the lower league, because then he might, say, have a higher one, which is what I'd expect. So anyway, we do see a 15 hatch going down by Makal, as well as seeing out a scouting drone in the wrong direction. However, his overlord will shortly reveal TLO's base and TLO's plans to secure a fast expansion, as that is what this barracks placement does suggest quite strongly. TLO, of course, a very big fan of his macro and his fast expansions. So, meanwhile, from Makal, we do see a spawning pool extractor, and I'm pretty sure he should be safe in defending this, as there is no sort of early 2-Rax pressure, only that 1-Rax, and really, with this build from Makal, there should be no problem in terms of securing this initial natural expansion, at least for the next few minutes. So this overlord is coming in now, and I will be sweeping into TLO's base, and of course that's not particularly interesting, but what is interesting is this little spot here. A great spot if you're a Zerg player to put an overlord in, because you can abuse this little ground where obviously no units can stand in order to get in some nice scouting information. It's sort of like a little safe haven for your overlord. Okay, so we do actually see TLO moving out with actually an SCV and a few Marines. It looks like possibly a bunker rush, but no, he does have an SCV already over here. No bunkers going down, and the creep is running now, so if TLO wants a bunker rush, he'll have to throw down that bunker right away, otherwise he'll run out of time, and things will just look pretty bad for him. Okay, so no bunker still going down. It's still not too late if he gets right away, but it looks like no, there will be no bunker. The SCV is just going to be there to tank a bit of damage, as pressure is applied to this, but I really think with a few Zerglings on the way, there shouldn't be too much problems holding this up, and no, a good strand there. And TLO not too happy about that. Up Meg1, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but TLO obviously acknowledging that he did make a bit of a mistake there, got a bit stuck there, and didn't really want to get stranded, but as you tend not to. A bit of a sad face coming out of him, but, well, I'm happy to see TLO, no matter what's happening. Anyway, so we do see TLO's early expansion now actually going down, so he will not really be significantly behind in the macro game. Just losing those 2 Marines, of course, isn't the best, but he did force a few Zerglings to come out from Makal, which does mean a few drones worth of lava have been lost. So this Hellion is, of course, going to be brilliant against these Zerglings. You can see actually spread out these Zerglings a bit so that they wouldn't get splash damage dealt to them. Just as I say that, he stopped spreading them out. But yeah, that was good while it lasted, but of course it wasn't going to last because there's no link speed, so they couldn't escape. But link speed will be done in 10 seconds, so that won't happen again. So we do have this queen, which will of course fight off the Hellion any day. The big question is, can there be a run by happening, and can these drones be attacked? And it looks like that might be exactly what we're about to see right now. Although no, this one's on dangerously low health, might not want to risk going in there considering how far quickly it would die to this queen. But of course abusing the range advantage over that queen. The Spine Crawler will of course massively outrange Hellions, so that won't be a problem for much longer, but it looks like TLO is continuing to mass up Hellions like he did in the last game against Beautiful, though that was a TVP, and it looks like there might actually be a brief moment where this Spine Crawler is not in position. A creep tune is unfortunately the target for TLO, perhaps not realizing that that was an opportunity to get a run by him, perhaps just not ready because he doesn't maybe have enough Hellions or Blue Flame, but I really doubt to see Blue Flame seeing as he didn't last game, although it looks like it might be a very different build though last game, so I'm going to have to take that back because we do have 3 factories going down, which is not what we saw at all last game. Last game we did see a starport coming down, and now 4 factories off these 2 bases, and those 2 gas coming down a lot earlier than they did last match. So, TLO mixing things up a bit, trying a different build, going to show us something different for a different matchup, so this should be another example of how TLO plays. I was going to mention also that the last video was probably the most successful video so far that I've ever made in terms of a short period of time, in that it doesn't have the most hits out of any video that I've made, but I think it has the most hits in a short period of time, with I think 120 thumbs up on SC2cast.com and about another 18 on YouTube directly, which are mostly my subs, I assume. So anyway, we do have TLO moving out here, and he is going to be facing big forces Zerglings, but of course Hellions brilliant against Zerglings. Are there any roaches? I don't think so. So it looks like we don't have, perhaps Makal not realizing how heavy the commitment of TLO would be to these Hellions. And oh, one drone going down, this is the key moment, but there is a surround in here, and actually, those Hellions didn't do anywhere near as damage as I thought they would be, because they just got surrounded, and really, that's well, I guess Link Speed does help out there, but without Blue Flame, it's really a possibility, obviously, to get surrounded, and it doesn't usually happen, but you'll actually see that turn player being behind in the Unit's last tab, and he's only killed 1 worker in this entire game, so he's also behind in the worker's last tab, so this big commitment to Hellions has so far not paid off at all for TLO, but he does have even more Hellions up now, and this will reveal the sheer number of factories that he has out on the field, and he will finally get a few drone kills, not as many as he has sort of like, could maybe get a money shot off here while they're up. No, he won't, he'll just stay down here and harass, although these buildings, these Hellions don't do very much. Might actually force to lay on the Spire. If they force to cancel that battle, he's commitment. The Spire's taking forever to build, and it's already 30 seconds in. And oh, Zerglings coming in, but a great angle there, abusing those middle patches in order to get a nice shot off against those Zerglings. And yeah, it looks like the Zerglings will go down. This Queen will also go down, I think. Although these are on very low health, these Hellions, and oh, more Zerglings popping out. Should be able to clean this up. Well, again, a good position for these Hellions, but no, they will be cleaned up. So that round actually did do some good damage. 5 workers killed, as well as evening out the unit's last tab completely. So suddenly these Hellions are starting to pay some dividends for TLO, who is just being able to sit back comfortably and preventing any sort of heavy macro play by Makal, who is now behind in Harvesters. That crucial macro difference also meant that lava was spent on Lings and not drones, so that is a very significant play indeed. Okay, so 3 Thors are on the way now, and we might be seeing a build that's similar to what I saw Thorazane do recently on TL Attack, although that is a bit of a joke, which is to go Viking Thor Hellion. Although it looks like with no Blue Flame, and with with the no Blue Flame, and oh my god, you don't see that very often. You do see the Collector's Edition Thor, just to give you a nice little angle on that. They do look very different indeed, a lot shinier than the other Thors. But anyway, TLO is not looking to go for Viking, it's just going to go for a very heavy mech build, which I haven't seen for quite a while. It used to be fairly popular, players moved away from it just because it was so immobile, and went to some more, medevac, marine siege tank play, because even though siege tanks are of course immobile, a mech army is even slower, and it's so hard to defend against mutas even though you've got Thors, so that's why players moved away from it. But nonetheless, there is actually Blue Flame on the way, so it looks like some traditional mech style play could be on the way, although no heavy commitment to siege tanks yet, and indeed no siege mode researched either. So it looks like TLO will be moving out here. Interestingly enough, no SCVs will be pulled off in this attack to repair, and it's actually looking like it's a pretty scary attack. I mean, Zerglings are actually not bad against Thors, actually quite good against Thors, but Hellions, these Hellions will roast away the Zerglings so fast they won't get to contribute anything to the battle, and Makal hasn't teched up at all, and I'm actually sure that he'll have enough to deal with this attack. It'll all come down to the Hellions roasting away Zerglings, and are there enough Hellions is the big question here, because there are certainly enough Lings to clean up any Thors, and Blue Flame is not yet done! Oh, good starting by Makal, enables him to find this attack out before Blue Flame finishes, and suddenly all of the Hellions are dead, and just Thors versus Lings, and Lings will have a pretty easy time cleaning up here, I assume. Although not actually doing a bit more damage, a couple of Hellions are surviving, so that wasn't as bad for TLO as I thought it would be, but still not the opening to this attack that he would have wanted. He would have liked this one to stay alive, losing 1 Thor as well. 4 Thors is far easier to counter. Just a few Lings will just clean that up pretty easily, and without the Hellion support, yeah, it's not going to do too much damage. So, that was a nice little play by Makal, able to clean that up despite not having perhaps the best army composition, but with siege tanks coming on the way, with no siege mode interestingly enough, but siege tanks, with siege mode would be a really great addition to try and clean up these lings, and also some banelings which are also coming out on the way. I don't know quite why you choose banelings against a mech build, perhaps should be going into say some later game tech. He does have a Spire though, so he is looking to get some sort of airplane soon, but you can see Zerglings are coming in, will do a good job against these levels. I think with these Banelings, I think they're for the Hellions actually, and that's quite interesting. And yes, they do quite a lot of damage to the Hellions. I haven't actually seen that before. Meanwhile, we do the Lings cleaning up the floors, like I said, very, very nicely, although as you will see, the Hellions are cleaning up the Lings quite nicely, so if there are some more floors that come out, and if these Hellions are allowed to get proper damage off against these lings, it could still be an effective attack by TLO, although, ooh, a bit of a surround going on. No, not a full surround. The with Hellions were able to roast their way out of that one, and yeah, still surviving to live another day. 10 kills in that Hellion, only 1 on that one, but 25 kills on the Thor. You can see why this army composition is so powerful from TLO, but again, look at the reinforcement rate. That's the main problem with this build, apart from mobility, is that your reinforcement rate is so low, and as you'll see, Makal is pulling way ahead in supply, despite still having an early game army. So the third base from Makal is up, but meanwhile, so is TLO about to secure his third base. So in terms of macro, it's still fairly even in terms of harvests and income at least, with Zerg just having a slight harvest advantage, but that is to be expected. So you also have a scouting barracks sliding around the map, if you're wondering what that red dot is. Will probably be killed by these mutas as soon as they see it, and that could be any moment now. Also scouting Hellion, making sure that the Zerg is not ahead in macro of TLO. TLO always going to be on top of his scouting, it looks like. Although it looks like Makal is doing some good scouting of his own, we'll scout the timing of this, and we'll even see the barrack wall going down. So that was actually a very effective scout there, able to see everything that TLO is doing. So both players seem to know exactly where they are at the moment, and interestingly enough, TLO is getting all these barracks, so it looks like he might be slowly transitioning away from such heavy mech play and into some bio accompanying his mech, which is always a good move to make, as it makes your army a lot more versatile, and it makes it a lot more beefy. It makes it, yeah, just a lot harder to surround and a lot harder to just kill with a single move. It just really, really helps, especially the stim pack. So, we do now have TLO with this special Gundam, like, I actually don't even know what kind of remote Gundams look like, but for some reason that's what I think of when I see this, guys. I think they're just big robot things, but that's what these Thors remind me of. And meanwhile, we do have this barracks is going to TLO, and he knows no defenses. I'm going to move in now, but the army of Makal, now mutas, which are of course going to be countered by these Thors. If they magic box, that could be quite good though. But of course, mutas and lings, ooh, it is a fast army, so we'll actually get it in time. But is it doing well? Actually, some nice magic boxing there. You will see not much splash damage being dealt to these mutas, and the mutas are actually able to take out a Thor with the +1 attack damage, and these mutas actually clean up the entire attack. So that was a very, very nice play by Makal to be able to stop his mutas from spreading out, while at the same time quite a few workers were killed by the Hellions, who just ran past that whole little engagement there. And are going to give, well, they're not going to give him a Harvester lead, but they will even out the Harvester tab. So, we do now have Makal just floating around. He's still keeping these mutas alive, as they are so gas heavy. It is vital that he keeps them alive for as long as possible in order for them to pay properly for themselves, although they did do a nice job in that attack, and that will help them a lot. And as you can see, after a successful attack defense, good players expand, and that is what Makal is doing, holding his own against TLO so far, and even being ahead by 30, almost 40s food. So, we do have undersaturation at this base. Makal might want to consider transferring away from his main before that's completely mined out, as you usually do that as opposed to your natural. And yes, just as I say that, that is exactly what he does. So that is good awareness by Makal, and always good to see him on top of his game. So we do have, yeah, like I said, a bunch of Marines coming out now. No stim though. I guess this tech lab will be there to research stim, possibly combat shield as well. So that is good. That's going to be coming on the way shortly. So you can see both players trying to get a bit of map control. TLO moving around with his Hellion, the mutas going everywhere for Makal, and the lings too. Probably could also secure this watchtower if he wanted to. And yeah, basically Makal though has complete map control. TLO though does have good scouting, so they're pretty sure that they know where each other are at. And that is pretty much a macro battle with the old mutaling versus the old mech. Of course, it'll come down to the magic boxing, it'll come down to keeping the mutas away, also from these Marines now, which are the new addition, which make it so much harder to magic box well, just because when you're above Marines, it doesn't really matter if you're spread out, because Marines are good against mutas too. So it'll come down to Muta Micro, it'll come down to Marine Micro. If the Banelings to the Marines, you'll probably see TLO losing. It could really go either way with this sort of army composition, because these armies are just so fragile, if you know what I mean. I mean, these siege tanks can kill the Lings, so can the Hellions so easily. The Mutas can die to the Thors and Marines so easily, but at the same time, if put out of position, siege tanks can be virtually useless, and the Thors, if surrounded by Lings, can also be nullified in a few seconds. So if these Hellions, because they caught out of position or killed, then suddenly the army of TLO looks very weak, so you're going to have to watch out for that as this game progresses. So we do have 6 factories now, all pumping out units constantly for TLO. No reactors, just getting extra factories instead, because reactors do have a painfully long build time. So TLO might be looking to take his 4th quite soon, before his natural is completely mined out, and he is actually moving out in the meantime with a big force here. This could be a crucial battle here, as the food cancers now evened out completely, but there is a big ball of mutas here, and that could be very effective if they catch the siege tank, the Hellions out of position, and there might even be enough mutas to take out the entire army of TLO. I'm not quite sure about that though, as no, there are a bunch of those that I didn't see just coming out at the last second, and that is certainly enough to kill these mutas, especially if they clump up. That'll be a big question. Will they clump up though? These Banelings again could be effective against the Marines and the Hellions potentially if they get in there, and we'll just have to see what happens. It'll all be down to the micro, and is there any siege point? If there is siege point, that is going to be very crucial. If TLO does fall back onto those siege tanks, that can happen against the Israeli. And it looks like the Thors are in the front line here. They will be surrounded and possibly killed, and that is possibly a mistake by TLO. He was trying to let the Hellions roast away all the Lings. I think you understand the sheer number of mutas, although some of the mutas are clumping up now, and that Thor is being very effective, killing 7, getting 8 kills, almost all of which were mutas, so the muta swarm has gone down significantly, so is TLO's army, but TLO looking ahead at this stage. Just because he still has those siege tanks, he still has the area locked down, and 2,000 and a bunch of Marines with Hellions are going to make it hard for Lings to get in. We're really going to rely on his mutas here, but Makal not having enough mutas to take out this whole army on his own anymore, and suddenly, a few units also being intercepted here, and all that is a lot of Lings, though could potentially get a good surround here. This could be a huge surround. This surround could end the game if it's successful, but no, more siege tanks moving up now, and suddenly the Thor's Marines are looking very powerful. This Thor will go down though. Are there enough Thors to kill the mutas? There's only 1 left, and a couple of Marines soon. This will be so close, this battle. It'll all come down to will the mutas survive, and it looks like they will survive, and I think these Marines will be cleaned up, and suddenly this attack will be cleaned up, so TLO's attack has been thwarted. He is still ahead in food, though, so the game is certainly not over, although more Marines are coming out and potentially could kill these mutas. Makal, only 4 mutas left. 11 though are on the way. If these 11 mutas were on the field right now, I'd say that this army by TLO would be completely dead by now, but if more Thors come out, and yes, more Thors and Marines are coming on the way, so these 4 mutas with all these reinforcing mutas might not actually be enough in the end. We do mean we'll have Makal taking his base to the south, and suddenly Makal is just scrambling as many mutas as he can, because he knows he just needs more mutas and more Lings. He can hold off this sort of army composition, but it's very difficult, as we saw. The mutas do melt away when they clump up, especially in large numbers, especially with all these Marines on the field, and these Banelings could be crucial here. We do see a much smaller army from Makal here, but if he gets some good Banelings up, he might be able to still win this battle. Looking a bit bleak for him at the moment, though, with the siege tank line especially, that'll nullify the Banelings to an extent. And suddenly Makal in a bit of strife. The Banelings are going to be hit by siege tanks. Only hitting the Thors. That's not a good move from Makal. Not really his fault, but suddenly all of the mutas being just picked away by these Marines, by these Thors, with these 2-2 upgrades on the army units. Upgrade even, really? But just so powerful against these mutalisks. And as you'll see with only, 2 attack upgrade, it still doesn't matter, and there's the GG well played from Makal. So that was actually a really good game, I thought. That was actually so exciting at the end. Still didn't know who was going to win, and it was just a matter of Makal losing a few too many meters to clean up the siege tanks before a huge wave of reinforcing Thors and Marines arrived, which are what you see here. Even a bunch of SCVs being pulled off in the end by TLO to try and repair up his army. Also going to be crucial in saving those Thors from destruction from those Lings. Also going to help prevent complete surrounds, and despite having quite a strong macro position in this game, with quite a lot of harvesters, a big harvest to lead, Makal just, his army was so fragile. He had so many Lings, and I know Ling Muta is quite a good army composition often, but really not engaging in the best position for him. He was in quite a closed slot here. That army composition really needs to be able to abuse big open areas such as this one, where they can really work their speed, work their magic, and divide up your enemy armies, get some nice surrounds in, and that didn't happen here. TLO, just by taking the fight to his opponent, that makes this build so powerful, because as you all know, siege tanks do lock down big areas, and if that area is your opponent's front door, and if your opponent relies on his mobility, and suddenly he's trapped in his front door and can't really take advantage of his mobility, just has to move in a big ball, that's when the Ling Muta build becomes so weak when you're just charging into a bottleneck, and really good play by TLO to be able to exploit that to the fullest. So TLO taking out another win. I don't know if he loses any matches in his replay pack. I certainly hope so, because I always like to see replay packs where the players both win and lose. But 2 from 2 is certainly believable from TLO, with about a 70% win rate. That is pretty normal. And yeah, well, that was another ladder match, and I hope you enjoyed it just like the last one. And really exciting there. I know I fell behind. There were a couple of things I did want to say throughout the match which I ended up falling behind upon because I got distracted by what was going on inside the match. I'm sorry if I did end up leaving out anything important. I probably was trying to get to it, but yeah, it was just tricky because stuff started happening so fast in this game. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the match. And as you can see, TLO didn't actually have much longer. He was just about mined out at his bases, and if that match went on for much longer, if Makal could actually hold off, if he had a few more mutas before all those Marines arrived, he would have been in really good shape and probably would have won the match. But that wasn't to happen, and it was to be TLO's day, and again, really smart sense to just lock down this crucial position where all of Makal's bases link up, and that is really why he was so powerful. I mean, obviously the mutas were key, so the Thors and the Marines were the most significant in terms of that, but just by being able to lock down its position meant that the Lings couldn't kill the Thors and Marines in the first place. So that's really why TLO was able to win. Just a combination of all of his units working in harmony. So, I hope, yeah, again, I've already said I hope you enjoyed the match. I've already basically babbled on for a bit too long, and that usually means it's time for me to wrap up. So again, any feedback you could please leave. I know most people were happy with the last video. A couple of people weren't, if they can tell, as in, literally it was about 120 to 5. So, you know, you can leave me feedback if you are going to be one of those 5. I don't mind if people have problems with my commentary, as long as they actually are legitimate and they actually tell me about them. Then that actually helps me, because it'll mean that it won't happen again, so that always helps. So, even if you don't like my commentary, you can still do me a favour, because I'm sure you're such nice people, because the Starcraft community is full of nice people. But anyway, thank you for watching, and that is all from me for today. Goodbye.